As you navigate your interest in entering the STEM field, here are 9 good practices that I think you should turn into habits sooner rather than later. One thing I do want to talk about is how important it is for you as an engineer or scientist to be able to communicate and present yourself. And I'm not talking about your appearance, I'm talking about your work. This is a skill that you're going to begin cultivating in school. It's never too early. And this skill is going to follow you through your career. When you're thinking about your boss, your project manager, your boss may not be a subject matter expert like you will be, but your boss is going to be the one making decisions based off your findings, your calculations, whatever it is. What you're going to have to do is present them to your boss in a way that he or she is going to understand. Therefore, good housekeeping is imperative to your career. Good housekeeping, good presentation, good communication. It's a misconception that engineers and scientists don't need to know how to write or communicate. It's a funny joke, but it's not true at all. You actually need to be very good and very skilled at communicating your ideas and your findings to the people who are going to be making decisions based off of you. So, jumping right into it, number 1, no naked numbers. As you begin your STEM education, you're going to notice that sometimes the units are very self-explanatory. You might only be dealing with one unit. However, don't let that make you lazy. Write the unit, no matter what it is, no naked numbers. So I'm referring to what if I said I need 30? 30 what? Do I need to lose 30 pounds? Or do I need to wait 30 seconds? These are two very different things. Make sure you identify your unit and keep it consistent throughout all of your work. Number 2, identify and designate all variables distinctly. You're going to run into this pretty early on. You're going to have the opportunity to designate variables. Don't use the same variable to describe different things, especially in the same problem, okay? Get used to making multiple. Number 3, try not to skip steps when doing unit conversions. So a lot of people find unit conversions to be very intuitive, but as you get more advanced in your schooling and your career, the units are going to become more complicated. As your unit conversions get longer and longer throughout your schooling, you're going to need to practice discipline in tracking exactly what units come in and out. That way you can verify that your answer is correct. While they're simple, don't get cocky and complacent. Number 4, use parentheses. This is a huge rookie mistake I see all the time, especially in early college students. When in doubt, put another set of parentheses on it. Make sure you understand how to use parentheses. Number 5, choose your handwriting font mindfully. So I'm going to draw a little bit on this slide just to show you how you can get confused. So for example, your X. What I like to do is add a little tick mark to it to distinguish it from a multiplication sign. For T's, add that little hook at the end to distinguish them from a plus sign. Make sure your A does not look like a 9. This is a big one, okay? Same thing with a Q. I like to add a little loop to the ends of the Q to make sure that it doesn't look like a 9 or an A. Make sure your 1 doesn't look like a 7. I like to cross my 7s. And make sure your Z doesn't look like a 2. That's a big one for me. I have a lot of trouble with that for some reason. You can also write your 2s like that. And there are more, but those are some big ones, and I think it kind of gets across the point. Number 6, try to avoid doing complex mental math. If you find yourself thinking a little too hard about it, just put it in the calculator. Don't take risks. Number 7, box your final answers. Now, this one is less about you and more about who's reading your work. And this is, again, one of these practices that's going to become important to you throughout your career about communicating your conclusions clearly and neatly. So, start the habit now. Make sure your professors, your teachers, whoever's grading you can clearly see your entire thought process. Not only is that going to save you a bit in school, as you might receive partial credit for your answers, but it's going to save you down the line as a good habit of communicating your process clearly and effectively to your boss. Number 8, don't jump to conclusions. This was something that I encountered a lot of in school. I would be doing a group project and everyone in the group, suddenly we get something wrong, right? And then they go, oh my god, okay, I know what I did. You might not, and you might make a different mistake this time. Don't get hyper, don't jump to conclusions, and always clarify and make sure you fully understand what is being asked of you. And then you can evaluate whether your answer satisfies the question or not. Lastly, pay attention to important words. So, this is a test-taking strategy, but it's also going to follow you into your career and your personal life as well. The difference between the words and or can potentially cost you a lot. Make sure that you are reading carefully and understanding what is being communicated. And the latter ones, those are some handy-dandy little word problem buzzwords. Of typically denotes multiplication, per typically denotes division. And there are more, but it's whatever. That being said, good housekeeping is essential to your math or science related career. Develop those skills and habits right now so that you're ahead of the game by the time you get into more advanced course material. Don't confuse yourself. Don't confuse your boss. Don't confuse your professor. Practice good housekeeping.